Hello there, welcome to another episode of Neverwinter Night's Enhanced Edition. Chapter 1, the Docks District. We finally got the Docks District done and recorded, and Shadowplay is now working, or at least I can get it to work in a way that I get useful recordings out of it. So before I go on to the main line of quest, a few comments that I suppose I should make on the playthrough so far. I have probably messed up the way I handle the hench people. And I'm going to drop the Monk with the Long Death. I can't remember what his name is, but there's two more hench people that I haven't used yet. And I'm not going to bother with the Monk with the Long Death because I've just got the Black Lake District left to do. So I'm going to use Sharwin as Bard. And I'm going to use, well, I've used the rest. Now, I used Tommy here quite a bit at the start. And in fact, Tommy would be a very useful character to finish out the Docks District with. Simply because if you're not a rogue yourself, there are a lot of traps. And I mean a lot of traps. And quite a lot of locked chests that are difficult enough to open. So a rogue character would be very, very useful. The other thing is that, but the reason I say I messed him up is I probably should have made more use of Tommy in the Peninsula District just to get the story out of him, because his quest completion item is in Beggar's Nest. And I should probably have taken on Dale N and Lenu earlier, used and gone through their story elements a bit quicker and more quickly anyway. Lenu, I got the story out of her, but I haven't found a quest item, and I think it might be in the Black Lake District. If my memory serves me, I think it is. The other thing that I have got was that I have, but whereas Dalan's item, his quest is in the Docks District. Because obviously he's already told me that he'd worked in the Docks District and he'd hung around there for quite a bit. And you'll find out, because he lost an item there, and it's basically an amulet left to him by his mother, and it's part of his vision quest that he's on when he was exiled from the Uthgar tribe. I mean, he does have an opportunity for getting back if he completes the vision quest. It doesn't really matter who you take with you in the Docks District open areas, because basically somebody's a reasonably good fighter. Anyone will do. The thing about the open areas is that you basically run into mobs of thugs. There's this character, but I think he's just role-playing opportunity to indicate that there's something up in the seedy tavern that you should investigate. Most of the thugs you find also have a poster with them that indicates there's an auction in the seedy tavern, and they also have smugglers' coins. It's worth picking up the smugglers' coins. You can actually spend them for stuff in the seedy tavern, and they're also a part of the disguise that enables you to get into the seedy tavern. Seedy tavern is right in the centre, in the northern edge of the map. The red bit there that sticks out on the northern edge. But once you have found a couple of these posters indicating the auction, you've also found a map of the whole whole Docks District, so you don't need to explore everything in the Docks District in order to reveal the map. The eastern side of the Docks District, I am between the sort of a house that doesn't have any purpose at all. It's not part of the game. It's just a house. You can see a pin on the house to the north of me, and that is the Wizard's Laboratory, which on rereading the Wizard's Laboratory quest, I may have messed up. I may have messed up the Cloak Tower, the Many-Starred Cloak Tower membership quest, because it seems to imply in the text of the journal entry that the order in which I collect the stuff is important, and I may not have done it in the correct order. I'll let people know at the end, because I'm going to basically complete the main line of the quest now in the Black Lake District, and then I'm going to complete all the side quests before I submit the item to Lady Arabeth and actually go to the final chapter, the chapter finale scenes. So this is where the Wizard's Laboratory is. And the building to the north of that with the pin on it is Calic's house. It's a locked house, I think is referred to, but it's actually owned by the lieutenant of the Bloodsailors, who control the Docks District effectively at this point, and who are running the auction in the seedy tavern. There is another quest. I'll show you where to get it in the centre, near the ships, near that jetty where the ship is. There's the Masterson family, and you can go in there and get a quest. To recover a family amulet, they tried to break the quarantine, and they bribed Calic to let them come on board a ship that he was leaving Neverwinter, and he hasn't turned up. Because he's chasing what he believes to be the cure, because he believes Fingal Bloodsail has the cure. He doesn't, he has one of the components. I'm not 100% sure whether the item for that quest is in Calic's house or on Calic's person. I've kind of forgotten to check. But I know that I have found it, so it's in my possession. So I can complete that quest. There's another building of note on the northwestern side, along the northern edge of the map as well, which is one of the quests that you get as a rogue from Ophala in the Moonstone Mask. Now you can see the trap there on the floor. All of the interiors involving the Bloodsailors tend to have a lot of traps. Trapped floor spaces, trapped chests, and chests that are difficult to lockpick. So having Tommy with you in this section of the adventures and in the final section of the adventure, if you're not into triggering traps and you're not set up as a rogue, could very well be worth your while. Other than that, you can probably complete the whole thing without any particular hench person in mind. We're back down to the centre, and you can see I had swapped Tommy. I leveled up as well at this point again. So doing all the side stuff levels you up. There is beside me here, and I think I'll walk up to them any moment now. Yeah, this crowd here. This is the Mastersons, and you can get a quest from them to recover the amulet. A family heirloom. They were trying to break quarantine, and they were trying to escape Neverwinter and save their noble hides, rather than accepting that they shouldn't be spreading around the stuff. Now this area is important. At the end of that jetty, or halfway down the jetty, you can see them standing there. There's a bunch of Bloodsailors. They are guarding the ship, and if you provoke these guys into a fight, or just maybe you don't have to, you could just walk aboard the ship maybe. But the ship on board, one of the chests on that ship actually has Dalen's amulet that he requires to complete his vision quest. So you get rid of these guys. You can pick up the uniforms. If the uniforms act as party or disguise needed to get into the seedy tavern. That and some smuggler's coin. So once you've reached this point, I suppose you don't have to, but it's worth your while to try and push Dalen's conversation along until he's reached the point where he's willing to tell you exactly what his problem is, and that you then will promise to let him know if you find the item that he's looking for. And lo and behold, when you go on board the ship and search through the couple of chests, one of them, actually one of the ones that's not locked, will contain Dalen's quest item. You'll see it now in a moment. So I've completed Dalen's quest, I've completed the Master's quest. I just need to talk to them. I didn't complete Ophala's quest, I didn't even start it. I reckon I'll collect Tommy Undergallows as well for that one. I do know that from Linu, and there's a druid and the grove beside the cloak tower, and he has a quest as well in the Black Lake district. But he hasn't helped me, and he hasn't offered it to me yet, despite my cajoling, because again, I'm not really built with persuading in mind. Though I suspect if I was a ranger or a druid, I think I would get it with any difficulty. I wouldn't have to persuade him. It's, I think, because I'm the wrong kind of class that I have to persuade him. Now we're up around the sewers. At the other side of this building is the estate where Ophala wants you to steal stuff from. There are Bloodsailors here, and I'm not sure if there's a way of actually talking this guy into being more cooperative. I didn't try to very hard. And I'm wondering if I brought in a bard or a face character or a paladin or something like that, would I be able to get through this gate? And would I find out anything? Because there's a sewer at the back of this place that has an exit. It's clickable and interactable with, but you can't open it or do anything with it from the other side. So it wouldn't surprise me if there are a few more side quests in the game that I've missed, that I probably went around assiduously around Neverwinter core. I could probably meet people that I might get quests off of. That I just haven't tried to do. So where are we now? We're now in the Golden Apple. It's a tavern, and you don't really have anything much to do there. I didn't see anyone obvious in there who offered me side quests, but I did get information, confirmed information that I'd gotten already elsewhere. Again, about a mutiny within the Bloodsailors, and the Calic and Vingal had fallen out. And therefore, this is, I suppose, an opportunity, shall we say, or to act. You also get an indication that Gerald, who runs the quiver, was a 20 in a quiver, which is kind of the merchant in town, has probably some connection as well to the Bloodsailors. Which seems to be the case, but he doesn't, how do I put it? He didn't cooperate with me. I don't know whether it's because I just didn't have invested in, again, diplomacy skills and charisma-based stuff. So maybe if I was a bard, it might be different. This is 20 in a quiver. So, for my purposes, he just acts as a regular merchant, if a bit grumpy and suspicious, and having a lot of guards. Not that I don't think the guards would be a lot of trouble. Took the opportunity to offload some stuff, but I wasn't able to get to see his special collection or anything like that. There's also a guy, I think, in the Trade of Blades, who let you into a fight pit, kind of a professional fight pit in the Black District as well, which is another kind of side questy type thing you can do. This guy just acts as a regular merchant. This is what the Amulet of the Red Tiger tribe that Dead End gives me, and these things improve. Or at least you get the opportunity of improving them as they level up. And immunity to fear is a very useful thing, much higher on, because there are certain things you run into that will make you afraid. So in order to guarantee access into the seedy tavern, it is necessary to dress up as a Bloodsailor. So that's my Bloodsailor's outfit. You don't have to dress up the henchmen or even offer them inventory. I don't think it's expected. As long as you turn up. This guy is another source of information, but he kind of does it in elliptical kind of rhyme and oblique references, and it's not directly obvious, at least if you don't know already what it is that he's trying to tell you. Now we're into the tavern proper, and we've passed muster because we're dressed up as Bloodsailors and we have the smuggler's coin. If you walk over here, there's a guy with a proper name, and you can get information out of him, and then you find out that Calic has kidnapped Vingal's girlfriend, and he's about to do dastardly and nefarious things to her in order to find out the location of Vingal and the alleged cure for the Wailing Death. So he's drunk enough to confess all of this in the middle of a bar run by the Bloodsailors. Now, I think these guys have a key to accessing that area. I haven't ever tried taking it off of them. Mostly because the door is it's pickable and beatable down, and I've never really had to. But I presume I can, or at least I could provoke the fight with him. This is the auctioneer. He acts like a merchant, except I think he can act as a regular merchant, or he can act as a merchant that sells stuff only available to people who have smuggler's coin. And you get an item of armor, an item of a weapon, and a miscellaneous item. I bought the armor because it seemed like decent armor. I wasn't too sure. I've kind of half forgotten how armor works in 3rd edition, but it was 1 point of armor less. I also got one of the miscellaneous items, which is this belt sash of shimmering, which gives me spell resistance. It's of limited use. It would really only work against low-level casters and low-level spells, or people using wands or scrolls and stuff like that. There are some, but a lot of any kind of boss caster is going to be pretty high level, and these stuff won't bother him much or slow him down in any great way. It is red armor, I suppose, so it goes with the whole Bloodsailor theme. I can't remember, did I bought another thing off him as well. He has a weapon as well. So here we have the chef who is guarding the door. Now, he has a password. He demands a password. But you can talk him out of... He can sort of let you pass without the use of a password. But the door needs a key, or needs to be able to pick the lock, or beat it in. So I was able to pick the lock without too much trouble, but I presume also I could probably get a key if I beat up the two guys outside. That leads down to another area, and you can see there, traps, a lot of traps. These underground areas have quite a few traps. So we go down underground, we're in an area attached to a larger complex, and it's again the usual stuff. There's quite a few chambers and rooms, quite a few traps, the odds and sods of treasure, blood sailors, and I think some other critters, maybe fire beetles, and possibly poisonous spider. Poisonous spiders, there's a few of them towards the end of this adventure in different locations, and they're probably the most difficult things to deal with because the constitution damage also reduces health, which goes down with your con bonus. So if you have a +3 con bonus, for instance, in your 10th level, that's 30 hit points. You know, so, and if you lose that +3 con bonus, it goes to 0. You lose 30 hit points instantly. If it goes negative, you start losing the hit points as well, associated with the negative bonus. So it's, poisons are pretty severe. So this, where are we? We're now under the CD Tavern. It leads to a larger complex which you clear out. And when you finish clearing this place out, it leads to another underground complex, and that's where you find Vingol's girlfriend. This one I think is mostly defended by blood sailors and traps. But then you reach a door, and that door leads you into another complex. And again, this one, when you've cleared it out, or pretty much only half cleared it out, you find Vingol, Bloodsail's girlfriend, Danielle. Danielle you can engage her in conversation, essentially. You find out what's going on between Vingol and Calic, and eventually you can get her to tell you where Vingol is, or where he's likely to be. He's got this secret hideaway in the sewers, but you can enter it through Vingol's warehouse, the Bloodsail Trading Company, which is down in the centre of the docks. So if you persuade Danielle to give you the key, you can get in that way. Don't think there's any other way in. I'm not 100% certain anyway, but that is definitely one way in, and that will get you to the final boss fight. So you just have to talk to her. You go through the talking options, and when you're finished, you then go down to Bloodsail Trading Company. The Bloodsail Trading Company itself, I think, as far as I remember, has it's mostly critters. There's no blood sailors in it, because obviously they've all gone on with Calic. But there are a few traps, so it's not this building. The next one down, that one there. So you just go around to get to the front of it, get in, and again you have a whole series of chambers. There's various fire beetles, more fire beetles, quite a lot of fire beetles, and traps and stuff, and eventually you get through all the different rooms and you go down into the sewers where there are more traps, and in this case I think bombardier beetles and traps, and I decided to deal with these guys at range, and let the hench people and the summoned creatures do the close-up fighting. They do quite a bit of damage. That acid breath or whatever it is seems to do quite a bit of damage. There's not much left of the boar. Lean, you can obviously heal herself, and I'm after running into more traps. Eventually you clear up all the traps, you get across this bridge, and you run into an old guy who seems to be a sort of a municipal sewer worker or something. He's got a little boat bobbing up and down behind him, and he tells you that Vengol passed earlier on, seemed to be in a mighty hurry, but he knew where he was looking. But he doesn't name him Vengol by name, but he kind of describes this elderly gentleman dressed up in finery as passing. And then he pursued by people that didn't look too savoury. So while I was out of magic myself, I hid it into my scroll stash, and I put a bull strength and a greater stone skin on myself. Now, greater stone skin is a really powerful buff spell in 3rd edition, because basically it's just a massive hit point buffer. It means that I'm immune to all damage until the buffer of the stone skin goes away, which is, I'm not too sure, it's several hundred hit points, pretty substantial. And in the meanwhile, we've got to kill Calic and his buddies. Now, I think I'm set up that I have less armor class, but with the way I'm set up, I have a reasonable amount of temporary hit points in the form of the stone skin. And once I deal with Calic, this is pretty much it. There is no other fight in this area that I have to do. I think the conversation allows you to provoke a fight with Vengol if you want, but it's completely optional and at your own discretion, and I didn't bother because I just want to run through the adventure and sort of remind myself of what it was like and share it with you guys, because it's a fond memory of getting into this kind of three-dimensional role-playing game on the PC. And it was, I think, less the game of Neverwinter Nights that was the fond memory. I mean, it was fond enough memory, but the real, but as quality adventures goes, it wasn't the best, and you'll see why later on. But the real thing that I really loved about this game is that we spent many, many years after the game came out just playing modules, myself and a couple of friends online. It was our D&D substitute for many years, because we didn't really know about virtual tabletops, and we didn't meet or weren't close enough to play Dungeons & Dragons face-to-face, so we did quite a lot of playing through quite a few modules, some of them which we never actually got to finish. I'm not sure if they were finished or not. So a bit of a chat with Vengol. He runs off. I didn't bother trying to fight him or anything like that. We get our cockatrice feather, and we have now completed the Docks District main quest. I still have the Ophala quest to rob this guy out in his estate with his tons and tons of guards and traps and what have you. But I can leave that till I've completed the mainline quests. I think as soon as I hand over the last reagent to Lady Arabeth, I think actually I get the opportunity to finish off any side quests. Then come back and speak to her, and we go for the big finale. So I have 2 out of the 4 henchmen that I've been, 3 henchmen that I've been using quests completed, and I have I may have missed side quests, like I said, along the way. I haven't questioned everyone, and I haven't spoken to everyone around town. We're 7th level at this stage, so the Rogue 3, Wizard 4. Must have a look actually at prestige classes as well, see what do I qualify for, and think about how I'm going to progress the character into the future. One of the things now is in the Black Lake District, I would expect to level up at least once more before I finish this section, maybe twice by the time I finish the chapter, or at least be very close to so I'll be level 9 by the time I finish the chapter, at the rate that I'm going. And like I said, I'll probably leave the remaining side quests to the end, complete them at the very end, just before the finale, and then get back to you. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching and joining me with this. I hope you found it useful and informative and entertaining, and if you did, please give it a like. Feel free to ask questions and comments. Once again, if you've not already done so, please subscribe to the video, and I will catch you all again soon. So next time, goodbye.